Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. It's great to have you on board. A lot to talk about this morning. Looking at the futures here, up about five. They've been boosted higher a little bit. Of course, maybe you've heard that Bank of America announced some pretty good earnings this morning. That's a little bit of the boost to the futures we've seen here in the last little while, and looks like a good day for the market. And I saw a little article. Articles are always trying to grab your attention, of course, to the headlines to have you read them. And they're saying this is going to be the best trading day of 2014. Okay, so of course it's going to be, right? So let's talk about things. First of all, let's look at Bank of America. Let's just jump right to it. And Bank of America, they topped their estimates. They beat by 3 cents. Revenues for the quarter came in at 2.17 billion versus 21.7 billion versus 21.24 billion. So revenues were up. Um, Brian Monahan, he says that the core business continued to perform well, serving customers and our clients. Uh, this is what I like, one of the best. We enter this year as one of the strongest balance sheets in our company's history, says their CFO, Bruce Thompson. Capital and liquidity are at record levels. Credit losses are at historic lows. Cost saving initiatives are on track and yielding significant savings, and our business are seeing good momentum. That's some pretty strong words based on solid numbers. Period ended. Let's look through these numbers. Consolidated deposit balances increased 14 billion to a record 1.2 trillion. Yes, with a T. Loan balances increased 20 billion to 928 billion, just about a trillion there. Combined debit and credit card spending rose 4% to 123 billion. Commercial loan balances increased 42 billion to 396. Um, Global wealth and investment management margin increased to 26% from 21. Global banking revenue 4.3 billion, that's up 9%. Servicing cost, saving targets. So cost to improve net charge offered down 49%. Capital ratio, okay, so just some huge numbers, very strong numbers. And we put a trade on this last night into the close. And we after J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo comes out, we weren't expecting much of a surprise here. They had pretty solid numbers. They didn't beat like Bank of America beat, but they had solid and sound numbers, and both of them had decent reactions yesterday. We weren't too worried about a big surprise here to the downside, based on what we'd already seen, because these banks are becoming more transparent, right? We talked a little bit about that yesterday. We figured here if they did miss slightly, it could add a little bit of downside, but not a whole lot. And anyway, I was talking to Jeff after the market yesterday, and he figured the chances here of a move higher were about 75% or so. And no, we got it. So fun trade to be in. All right, some of the other things out there. The PPI, the Producer Price Index, is up 0.4% as gas rebounded. That's what they were saying there. But they say the inflation it still remains benign. Not much inflation going on out there. Um, and then mortgage applications. So we go over to economic calendar here. The mortgage applications were up 12% in January, the 10 week. And this was boosted by declining interest rates, right? Petroleum report comes out here in a couple hours or so. We'll see what that holds. Again, these are weekly numbers, the petroleum numbers, and some of these are weekly numbers. It could affect a little bit, but it's not going to be anything of a major surprise normally, where it's a weekly. Tomorrow morning we got the consumer price index, the weekly jobless claims number, some Fed speakers. Friday, housing starts, industrial and consumer sentiment, the JOLTS report. Okay, so a little bit on tap for for the last couple days of the week, but nothing really big. All right. So some of the news out there in the market, General Motors. We talked a little bit about Ford, a few days ago. If you looked at their chart, about a week ago, I guess, on Ford, they've been screaming up the charts. They announced a dividend last week. And General Motors announced their first quarterly dividend in almost 6 years at 30% per share. And that's going to be divvied up in March, towards the end of March, the 28th. All right, so things looking up for General Motors. It's no longer Government Motors, right? That was the the term for quite a while. They've given that all back now. They've paid it all back. Okay. All right. So yeah, Bank of America, they beat by 3 cents. The revenues were 2.7. The net income was up 11.4 billion at 90 cents per diluted share. Okay. So I was asked the question, what's a diluted share? Well, it's a total number of shares that would be outstanding if all possible sources of conversions, such as convertible bonds, stock options, were exercised. And they use that term quite a bit in these financial reports. Okay, so AK, you brought this up this morning. Tesla, right? Tesla had a good day yesterday on an upgrade they upped their guidance, right? And then, of course, today, here comes the analysts. A couple upgrades. It was a reiterated outperform. Estimates were raised higher over at Wedbush, and they were citing reckless growth. I guess that means really, really fast growth, and hopefully it's not, reckless and they're going to fall apart, but I don't think they meant that. But a positive upgrade there. Also, Baird's upgraded them to an outperform, so they get two positive upgrades today. Yeah, and they're looking pretty good pre-market. And then Priceline's target was lifted to 1350 over at Evercore Partners. We've traded them a little bit here, and we've talked about them here a lot in the live trade seat. A while ago, they were the top three on the downside, but it was pretty short-lived to the downside, and they're looking to keep going. Okay. So there's the bell. Initially, Bank of America was set to open up around 45, 47 cents, and it's opening up 44 cents. A strong push higher. And again, just nothing but good came out of the earnings report. Some pretty strong numbers here. Notice there hasn't been a lot of analyst upgrades this morning on them. A lot of times, there's a lot of upgrades and things, but no one really had to defend their positions here. Very strong report. The upgrades may come, but they didn't need to defend anything initially out of the gate, so I didn't see anything there. But don't be surprised if we start to see some upgrades here in the next day or two. All right, so Bank of America, our challenge trade up nicely this morning. Okay, and then another company, Intel. Intel is up this morning quite a bit as well. Intel was upgraded to an outperform over at BMO Capital, and they gave them a $31 price target. Okay, very strong move here for Intel. Had a big breakout yesterday on some news, and they continued to run. Also, J.P. Morgan came out for Intel and upgraded them to an overweight. Now, this was a little bit about 3/4 of the way through the day yesterday when J.P. Morgan came out and helped them surge a little bit more than they were already up. Okay, I'm gonna go take a look at. Nice, Jeff. I'm gonna go take a look here at Google this morning. That's one of my top three from yesterday, up about 90 cents. Fairly flat open for Google. Just looking for this one today. If you happen to be in the trade here, you want this to just keep pushing higher, hits that upper band, all the better. And so far, so good on Google here. And then APC, up a little bit this morning, up 28 cents. It's outside the band right now, and it's so far a strong looking signal here as well. And then Hewlett Packard just opening flat, had a nice day. Last last couple days were nice. Yesterday was the confirmation here of a breakout, and just holding flat this morning. All right, so not a lot to there. From Monday, Hershey's, it did get. See, yeah, yesterday it broke out. It broke up above that area, and today just down just slightly. There's nothing there to react to. Just 19 cents. Okay, and then also we looked at silver, wheat. Now gold and silver are under a little bit of pressure this morning. Gold was down initially before the market, about just about 9 points. Is 8.8 before the market. Oil is up 22 cents. Very nice Vegas. Paper rich. Okay, so under a little bit of pressure, but watch silver wheat, and it's been showing a lot of strength here. At this point, it would be a higher low if it holds 21. If it starts to drop below 21 is where I'd get concerned. But right now, just right there at 21. So watch it. It's been outperforming a lot of the other gold and silver stocks. The other one in here has a similar chart. This is gold, right? Gold core. Pretty similar. 22 here. It broke the 7 yesterday, but if I don't know if anybody's in this trade, but if you are, watch 22. If you did hold it on that break of the 7, watch 22. That would be a higher low and look to run up. But yeah, it could be a little bit of a volatile group here in the next little while with what's going on in the market. I want to run out and check on bonds this morning. TLT had a nice breakout for a few days, sold off slightly. Now it's coming back. All right, it's going to retest this 104 mark. But yeah, this is a fun one to trade. If you can get the good, nice signals here, this is a fun one to trade. We traded this, I believe it was in the March challenge of last year, and did very well on it. Because when you catch that right, that thing can just take off. All right, let's go look at Apple. Well, look at Apple this morning, gapping higher. There was some news out on Apple saying it's not just their iPhones over there in China, and they got a little bit of momentum yesterday. And a nice little bull vibe signal. It's a runner-up of mine yesterday, and getting some pretty strong follow-through here today, up about 1.5%. So nice move on Apple. Okay, let's go look at Tesla. Yeah, up almost 6%. Just a very, very strong move. If you're not in the trade, you'd be really chasing it here. There's what you do in a situation like this where you come across a nice chart that you wish you were in, and I'm hoping you guys were in this. Um, you just watch and wait for a little bit of a pullback, some profit taking a step in, let that 7-day moving average catch up with it, and then look for it to move higher on it when it pulls back to the 7 or consolidates back to the 7. A bullish consolidation pattern would be just kind of go sideways up in here for a few days, or maybe drop a little bit to 165, just kind of slowly, and then the 7-day catches up with it. So when the 7's with it and you get a push up higher, is where you'd look to enter. At this point, man, we'd be really chasing. Where do you set a stop? You'd be paying quite a bit of money for the options here on this huge move like this. The risk reward would just not set up here. And just because it's a long ways away from the 7 doesn't mean it's going to just reverse and snap back right to it. It could. It's this rally right here is based on some raised guidance, and very positive words being spoken out there in the around Wall Street. So a nice boost higher. Just gotta wait and be patient if you're not in it, and look for another opportunity to get in. Nice, Joyce. Very nice. Yeah, you're loving it. Very nice move. Okay, let's just run back over here. So Bank of America up now about 50 cents, just about 3% is where we're sitting on Bank of America. Another stock I want to look at is Mosaic. This was a runner-up of mine yesterday. Had a very strong looking chart, and this morning's up about 1.4% this morning, up into the upper Bollinger Band. A strong move here. We also looked at Simon Property Group, and this is a nice looking chart. I mean, had a nice move yesterday. This wasn't a trend rider, it wasn't a vibe yesterday. It got close to a trend rider, but it's just a candlestick action here. Very strong candlestick action. The resistance was about this level right through here, and then you see the sell-off. The sell-off that we saw come in on Monday. This went down, but by the end of the day, closed back above the 7. Pretty positive candlestick here and a rally into the close like that. And then yesterday, as it pushed up over that area, confirmation that this thing's ready to run. And it is. It's up a little bit this morning, nothing significant, but so far it looks really strong. Okay, also, let's look at, I want to look at VLO this morning. Just holding its own. At this point, what you want to look for in VLO is a hold of 52. It might run down below 52 today, and then but you'd want it to close back up over the 7 and up over around that $53 range. It's going to give you some pretty strong bullish confirmation. Okay. And then Jeff looked at this a little bit yesterday. See it just EWJ looking for the right setup here. This thing can gap. When you get these gappers, when you get these on the right side of these gaps, things can add up fast. We'll watch that one throughout the day. We got some ideas in mind. We've used about just under half of our challenge account money for the Bank of America trade. So we're on the hunt for the next challenge trade. We'll keep a close eye out there this morning. We got some ideas in mind. We'll be talking about those, Jeff and I and Josh, and seeing if we want to jump in earlier today or wait for the close. But we've got some ideas in mind. Toyota's not quite ready yet. This is another one of those, when you get on the right side of it, it can really fly. Okay, yeah, Yahoo. So I had a strong comeback yesterday, and now it's up there above the 141. A push into the upper Bollinger Band, what you'd be after here. Nice, Paul, thanks. If you get that push in the band, look how tight the bands are at this point. One of my favorite setups is when you get a stock in an uptrend, a nice uptrend. There's nothing bearish about this uptrend. And then you see that a strong push into the upper band. Well, you got the uptrend intact, and now it's telling you, hey, it's ready for another leg higher. So watch that. See if it can't push into the upper Bollinger Band today. It'd be a trend right or bull signal. It had decent volumes yesterday on the comeback. By the end of the day, I mean, this is one that I will definitely put on my list, and I'm writing it right now, just to watch it throughout the day and see if it gives that opportunity as it jumps into the upper Bollinger Band. Thanks, Paul. Facebook, same thing. Same thing. Nice little rounded bottom pattern we've seen here. We got the cup with handle pattern, right? We got the cup there. Not a lot of follow through yet from a breakout above the 57.5 area, but look for that. Look for that push up off the 7 into that upper Bollinger Band. It's telling you it's ready to run to that next leg up, and probably around the $60 level would be this price target. I'd watch it around, again, if you get that move into the 7 up above the upper Bollinger Band, either ride it with the Bollinger Band and it closes inside, then get out. I'd look around, I'd start getting an itchy trigger around 59.5. Watch the strength, see if it's still showing strength at that area. If it's still in the upper band, then yeah, just keep riding it. But 60 would probably be the level of resistance, but if I had a decent gain and it starts to show a little bit of weakness, I'll probably just get out of at least a portion of it and then see what it's going to do as it reaches that area. Hewlett Packard, yeah, it's early, down about 1%. Watch the 28.5 mark. It's still above the 7. Watch the 28.5 and see if that level can hold. And if this can turn around and go positive here towards the close today, it'd be a very bullish sign. It's early. Give it time to play out a little bit. Don't panic or anything, because this is not that much of a pullback. A Hewlett Packard can make these moves very strong. Get a very strong pattern here. There's no bearish signs yet. If the stop's on the 7, then get out. But initially, let it play out, and a little pullbacks like this. Yeah, I mean, you can look at an account. Oh, I'm losing a little bit of money here, but try to keep calm. There's nothing technically significant with this type of price action. Just let it continue to work for you and see if it's gonna turn around by the end of the day. I mean, we're 12 minutes into the day, so let's. That's what I do. Just give it some time. Adobe had a nice looking pattern yesterday as it broke up out of that $60 range. Strong technical move. It was a trend rider. Sorry, let me put in the vibe here. So this is a strong vibe signal yesterday. You can see the average is all rising here. The indicators are rising. Can't see that MACD off your screen there, but it's rising. Maybe that'll help you a little bit. No. But very strong move, a strong push above the 7, and that's what you want on those type of signals. This one had the volume. Okay, you don't always need the volume. You already got the trend intact, but when you can get it, it just puts a little bit more odds. But a strong technical move, a big breakout over 60. And also, you bring in the Bollinger Bands. It's just about ready to set up a trend rider bull signal as well. So this is another nice signal. Now, they just had earnings mid-December, so their earnings is a ways off. And that's the big thing right now. Before you make any type of a trade, double check. Double check me. If I got a top 3, double check me. I always go out and make sure down the top 3, I know when the earnings dates are. If it's a runner-up or something like that, anything, just double check. All right. Marvell Technology had a nice breakout yesterday. A strong push higher here. Now these strong pushes higher, it's backed by some pretty heavy and pretty solid volume right here. This is a nice push. It's down slightly this morning. It hasn't changed anything technically. I don't know if you're in the trade, if you're looking to get in. If you're looking to get in, not there yet. Yesterday, it got so far away from the 7. You would have been chasing it a little bit yesterday. Doesn't give you much of a chance to get in. It had 2 chances, and both those times when it did it, it rallied so far away from the 7. It just kind of changes things. And even over here, you had a bearish candle, which didn't matter. It just kept running. Really strong move here. If I was in a trade on it, if I did have calls, I would hold it. This is a very, really pretty insignificant at this point. If it gets down here toward, starts breaking 15.25, that could be a sign there could be some profit taking stepping in here. But that's what I'd give it, about 15.25 if I happen to be in here. And that's about where the 7 is, right? The 15.25 area. Southwest. Yeah, nice candle action there on Southwest. And this morning gapped higher. Gapped up there to just under 22. And just pulling back. It's had a nice run here. Hasn't been much profit taking over here. Not as big, but the little bit of a candle similar to today's. Again, but not quite as big. But watch it and give it some time this morning. It's down 19 cents. Give it some time and see if it can't hold maybe the 21 level. And see if it's going to give you another opportunity to get in. But right here, if I was in a trade, I wouldn't worry about it. It's early and it did gap up. I'd give it a chance to see if it can't pull back, run back up here by the end of the day. APC, yeah, just I really like this chart. This is a trend rider bull signal. Now I had a nice drop over here, and you notice the drop. It fell, and there was it? They call this a dead cat bounce. dead cats don't bounce, right? It fell and there was practically nothing. It was basically channeling between 78 and 80. $2 channel right there. Well, December you're always going to get lighter volume, so you're not going to worry about December there. But look at the volume here, and I pointed this out yesterday. How once it started to show some life, get past the holiday seasons, it starts to show some life. The volume steps up, and still the spring's getting tighter and tighter and tighter in here as you get big volume, and it's not breaking out. I mean, there was a seller there around $80. And then all of a sudden, the seller appears to have stepped out, and you get strong volume, and it does break 80, or the seller's obligations were met, and he moved on, right? Whatever it was, strong breakout yesterday on big volume into the upper Bollinger Band. This is a great looking trend rider bull signal, and one of those trend changers. Uh, they're not always trend changers. The trend rider bulls aren't always like Yahoo. If you get one on today, it's not a trend changer, it's going with the trend. This would be a trend changer, and one of the things you look for with a change of a trend is stronger volumes. And that's what we've got here. It's been strong here for, ever since pretty much the first of the year, and a nice breakout. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it fill this gap here at 84. It might go on, keep going, but I wouldn't be surprised. All right, Caterpillar. Nice, Deb. 21% gain on Caterpillar. Not bad for a morning, huh? Can't complain about that. Nice. Strong move up. Was there, you could look at this candlestick action. Let me bring in a trend, a vibe. Sorry. And so we got all the averages rising. All right. Hey, that's not a nice circle. That's a nice circle. Uptrending indicators, which right up through this area. And we had a strong move over here. This is a very strong trend rider bull signal. It was a strong move, but what happened over here on Monday? Well, we know what happened on Monday. That's when the market dropped 23 points and a couple waves of selling that hit it on Monday. Okay, and it was up and it went negative, but really you could say it closed slightly below 90. I always give it a range. I don't give it 90.00 as my level of support or resistance. It's a range, and it's just slightly below. It's still above the 7. And then another push up yesterday. And really, it's a little bit of a bullish confirmation here where it closed above the highs of this candle from Friday. And today it's off and running again. Nice setup, and nice job, Deb. Netflix. Yeah, AK. If it drops, right, what you'd be looking for here. This is the type of price action you'd like to see. I mean, it's already got a downtrend here. Yeah, it is holding some support here at 330. So you got to watch the level. And what you'd be looking for here is a candle, something like this, where it comes up to the 7, pushes back below it, and breaks 330. That's pretty bearish price action. Something like that, I couldn't argue a short position at all. 320, likely the next level. There is a little bit here at 320, so probably another $10 for a Netflix, and possibly more. But that's the setup I'm looking for to get short. Thanks, AK. All right, Vegas, hand me your keyboard. Okay. Bank of America this morning up 53 cents. It's up 3%. If you're just tuning in, yeah, the earnings, there wasn't any type of weakness there. We read the numbers a little while ago. It was a very strong report. Look at the market up 5. Are we going to hit the highs? I don't know. There's the high, an all-time high for the market. Are we going to hit that today? I wouldn't be surprised. But it's technically what we want to see here. So the highs are around 1848, somewhere in that range right there. And but uptrends. Talk about uptrends for a minute. The strongest uptrends are the ones that just they come flying out of the gates and they just rally and run and run. No, strongest uptrends like this period right through here. There was a few days where it went up a little big, but other than that, just kind of a slow chug higher. Those are where you're going to get your biggest and longest trends. These areas like right through here, where you see that up very sharply, that's where you tend to get a little bit more correction than the slow chugs higher. And that's what we're after here, some nice slow chugs higher. All right, everybody, I'll be on chat with you all day long. If you have any questions, Josh will be here as well. Jeff will be in and out as well today. If you have any questions, just put them in through the chat, or you can reach us through email. Carl, Josh, or Jeff at traderminute.com. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.